Hi, I'm Chef April with Miller & Associates, and today I want to walk you through some basic AutoSham Combi operations for the CTP model. This is a CPT 720, and so today we're just going to cover the basics, but this will be true of all of our CPT models. So the first thing you want to know when you turn the Combi on, this is your power button. And just to give you a quick tip, when you turn the power on, you can hit it briefly and it will start up. But if you hold the power button down until this screen appears and let it go, it'll take you into a calibration screen. So just like a phone or any other touchscreen device, occasionally you'll need to calibrate it. You'll notice that your buttons are moving a little slow, and this is the best way to get to the calibration screen from the very beginning. Now we're in the calibration screen, so we want to check yes. For yes, we want to calibrate. We're going to touch each little square, check mark, X, and now we're going to touch these, and your screen is calibrated, and now you're in the home screen. This is our home screen. This is our manual cook mode, and this is our program or recipe book. This is a sleep button, so if you need to snooze the power. Our automatic wash button, which we'll talk about later. Our I button, which tells you information on all of our buttons in our toolbox. So if we go into the manual cook mode, we have four settings, 3 that you'll actually be using on a regular basis. Our steam setting, our combi mode, and our convection mode. Here we have the temperature, the time, and if you're going to cook to a probe, then you can set your probe temperature. You cannot use probe and time at the same time. You can only cook with one or the other. If you cook with time, then you will get an alarm when the timer goes off, or if you cook to the probe, then you'll get an alarm when your internal temperature has been reached. If you would like to track the time of your internal temperature, then you can hit this button at any time during your probe, and it will tell you how long it's actually been cooking. Next, we have our preheat and our cool down buttons. Preheat is just like it sounds. If you want to preheat for something that you're going to be cooking at a higher temperature, then you can do that. If you want to cool down, then examples of why you want to cool down. If you go from baking at 350 degrees and then you'd like to steam at 212, then you need to cool the oven down in order to produce steam. So what I typically like to do as a rule of thumb is cool the oven down to about 20 degrees below whatever temperature I plan to steam at. And you can set it right here and start your cool down. Next, we have our cold smoke button, hot smoke, our energy pools. So a reduced mode gives you control over your fan speed from 20 to 100%. Your eco mode, which is a default, and this is what you'll always be in, you have fan speed control up to 60 to 100%. For our turbo, your fan speed control is from 80 to 100%. You have a Delta T, which is great for cooking meats like prime rib and things like that. We have a dehydrate button. So another button that we have is our humidity control. Why is your humidity control important? It's important because your humidity and the moisture that's in the chamber generated by the food is what controls your browning. So for example, if you are roasting tomatoes for salsa, then you're going to want to take your humidity down to 0 because the cavity will become very moisture dense and you won't actually achieve any browning. If you're smoking turkeys or you're cooking turkeys or roasting chickens, you may need to adjust the humidity in order to create the browning that you're looking for depending on how much moisture is generated in the cavity. These are in 10% increments and you can go from 0 to 100. Another thing that you can do with the Combi is you can cook in manual mode, which is what I just showed you, or you can create programs. So first, since I've decided I want to cook in Combi mode, I'm going to select my preheat button. Typically, I like to preheat at least 25 degrees higher than what I'm going to cook at. So since 350 degrees popped up, I'm going to select my time and change it to 375, my temperature, excuse me. Now that I've done that, that is my first step. So I'm going to select for my next step. And I said that we're going to cook in Combi mode. So now I'm going to select Combi mode. 350 degrees automatically pops up as a default. I like that temperature. I'm going to leave it there. Now, I'd like to cook in time, not probe, so I'm going to select my time button. I'm going to cook for 30 minutes. Now that I'm in my, I've put in my temperature and my time, I don't see any other adjustments that I'd like to make. I'm going to save this program. So I'm going to hit the save button. I'd also like to add a picture. We're going to call this one baked potato. So I'm going to select our baked potato and I'm going to put in baked potato and I'm going to save it by checking the yes button. One other button I'd like to show you before we move on is our I button. If at any point you forget what one of your buttons is or what you need to push, you can select your I button and it will show you what everything is labeled. That'll help you make your decisions on what cook mode you want to use. Now we're going to go into our program or recipe book. So in this, you'll find all the programs that you've pre-created. Some of our combis come pre-programmed with about 8 programs. You might find those useful and you'll find them as a useful thing that you can build off of. Also, you'll find plenty of programs that you can use and program in the back of your operator's manual, which is very useful. So I would like to say up front, please look through your manual. Everything that I'm going over today is also included in your manual step by step with pictures. The best thing about this is that it allows you to also make changes to your programs should you need to. If you would like to make a change to one of your programs, you're going to select this button here with the cog in the book, and it takes you into a red screen. At that point, you can select what you would like to do. Remember our I button? We can edit, delete, favorite, lock, or create a folder. Once you've made a selection, I'm going to select the edit button. Now I'm going to select which program I'd like to make an edit to. I'd like to change our baked rolls program. So I'm going to select that program. It has 2 steps. I can see that here. So my first step is a preheat of 350. My second step, by paging over, is going to be 350 for 10 minutes in Combi mode. I'd like to change that to 12 minutes. Now I've made that change. Now that I'm ready to save my changes, I'm going to hit the save button. I still want to keep the name and the picture the same, so I'm going to check yes, and now my program's been edited. That's also good if you would like to see how many steps a program has, or if you'd like to recall a step. Just scroll through without making any changes and then hit save at the end, and you can see all of the steps in your program. We're going to talk about cleaning our Combi. So we want to select the cleaning button, as I did. There are several cleaning cycles. The first one is going to be a rinse cycle. It doesn't require any tablets, and this is good for just intermittent cleaning. If you cook something that has a little bit of grease and then you want to go into a bake mode and you'd like to relieve that oven of that grease, then this is a great option for intermittent cooking and cleaning. The next option is going to be a 30-minute wash with 1 tablet. The next will be 2 tablets, 1 hour and 20 minutes. The third is going to be a 2 hour and 6 minute wash with 3 tablets, with the fourth cleaning cycle being a 6 tablet, 3 hour and 30 minute wash. This is great if you have a very grease-laden Combi that you've potentially roasted chicken or other meats in. It's great for getting rid of protein debris at the end of the day. So this would be one that you would do at the end of the day and then let it shut off by itself at the end of the night. So during cleaning, you also have a sprayer here on the door. This is available to use when the Combi is operating, and it's potable water, so you can use it in your food, but you can also use it to clean your Combi oven intermittently should you need to. This is also great if you need to cool your oven down in order to steam. After you have put it in cool down mode and it's reached its cool down temperature, give it a quick spray to start generating a little bit of moisture in the cavity for your steam cycle, but only after you cooled the oven down to the temperature that you're planning to cook in. Next, we want to run a cleaning cycle. Once we've selected our cleaning cycle mode, for example, we're going to do a 30-minute clean. We'll take our cleaning tablet. I like to break the tablet up before I put it in, so I'm just going to give it a little whack, break it up. We're going to lift up the drain piece here in the middle, set it aside and leave it off, and we're going to pour the contents of the packets directly into the drain. Once we've accomplished that, we'll close the door and select our cleaning cycle. So once we've sprayed our Combi and we've added our tablets to our drain, we're ready to select our cleaning cycle and begin cleaning. We'll select it by clicking the Yes check button. We'll close the door and the cleaning cycle will begin. You want to make sure that you run at least a 30-minute cleaning cycle on your Combi every day at minimum. Cleaning your Combi every single day will increase the longevity and life of your Combi's operations. Okay, so the last thing I'd like to talk to you about is cooking with the probe. So the probe is removable, and we like to advise that when you're not cooking with the probe, that you keep the probe put away in a safe place in order to prevent damage. Want to make sure that you wipe off these prongs here on a regular basis. That helps extend the life of your probe, and it also helps with correct probe readings. Your probe is going to read at the very tip. So make sure that when you're probing proteins that you probe away from bones but to the thickest part of the protein to get an accurate reading. When you're not using your probe, if you choose to leave it in the Combi, make sure that it's stored correctly in its holster. And if you would like to cook with a probe, or if you would like to calibrate your probe, which you should do on a regular basis if you cook with your probe often, you can look for that in the owner's manual.